All right, welcome everyone to the December 9th, 2021 Helm developer call. As usual, we will start with announcements and then dive into discussions. If there are extra items that people want to discuss, feel free. We usually have extra time, but also if you want to add it to the notes, have we, Bridget, did you post the note link? Yes, thank you, Bridget. So first announcement, the 3.7.2 release was done yesterday. I would give the mic to Farina, but he's not here. He did it. We appreciate that as always. Any comments for that?
For the most part, it was fixes to update dependencies, though there were a couple of minor bug fixes, including a race condition. So it's a good one to upgrade to, but nothing, super sensitive security-wise or anything like that. As always, we recommend upgrading to the latest version of Helm.
Thank you. Any other announcements? I'm just looking back, recap. We will have a meeting next week. And after that, it's holidays for everyone until the 6th. If there are no announcements, we can dive into discussions. First item, Paul, we have a new Paul, I think, and to me, joining the call. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, hello.
You wanted to do a demo for Helm Playground.
Yes, sure. The project starts by looking into the API to render by writing code. And then it turned into, okay, let's compile this to a WebAssembly binary, put this into the browser and see how it goes when we have an editor type something like writing a template and then directly see the output. So I will share my screen. Oh, okay. I updated my my Zoom, so I need to restart, or someone else can share. Is it okay if someone else share?
I can share it if you give me one
Okay,
moment.
I will post the URL to the chat.
And then do I have a screen? I do have screen sharing permission. Okay, does that look correct?
Yes.
All right, I will do my best to take directions. Just tell me what to do.
Okay, yeah. So it's currently, let's say, super early stage. On the left side, you have like a file directory kind of selection. So, for example, we can select ingress or deployment. This the templates are based on the what you get when you run Helm init, like create a new project. And here we can directly see in the browser we got rendered out the template. And for example, when we go into values, change something, we can we can see the output. We can also see if something changed when you go into the deployment or into another YAML file and edit the YAML. For example, here.
So if you edit the YAML, you'll see the output right away. If you edit the values file, you have to switch back to the, first of all, this is really cool. Just to start with this, I think it's really cool. I'm going to show it to my colleagues personally. If I want to see the effect of values directly on the output of a particular file, I have to go back and forth, or is there a way to?
Yeah, currently you need to go into values, change it, and then go back to the file. Maybe this is something which can be improved by having like it at the bottom that you can change your values file and see the render result directly. But there's more. I think when you go to the ingress, we have here, for example, different Kubernetes versions. So on the right top corner, there is something called settings. You can click here, and for example, we can change the Kubernetes version. I don't know, to 118, for example. And this will also change the result of the rendering. So it's easy to play with different like versions and see how the result get rendered.
Very nice.
I also think about moving the setting stuff to another place that you can click and play with it to see directly the render result instead of clicking to the settings. You're becoming like an overlay of the whole page, do something, but then you cannot see the result. This is currently like this. I mean, with early stage, the UX is not that good. It's more or less a proof of concept, and let's see how the UI can go, what kind of improvements can come, and yeah.
How do you load the files?
What do you mean, the files?
So the chart, so you have a chart, values file, and all this stuff. How do I put all these things into the tool?
Okay, there is a few glue code functions which read a JSON file, decode the JSON, and then we are getting the parameters pushing into the, how is it, helm.render, the function,
Helm template?
like the, yes, exactly, this one, putting this inside and then rendering out. The result gets also JSON encoded and sent to the JavaScript. And this is a React app. So the React app will pass the JSON and then put it into the editor. But everything is running in the browser. There's no backend, no server. Everything's in the browser running.
As you change the values, then it renders automatically, or is there an action?
It renders automatically.
Automatically, okay.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah, this is it's kind of big, so it's 9 megabyte WebAssembly loaded into the browser, but I think it's okay. We are all kind of developer and not using that at our smartphone, so I think it's okay.
And is this hosted already? Something that all users can use? You know, if we point, or this is just still experimental?
It is running on GitHub Pages currently.
Okay.
So I would
say it's accessible.
Experimental. Yeah. It's accessible,
but it's not scaling. Maybe this is not a service that maybe needs to be scaled to massive numbers, right?
This should
unless
be
it's very popular.
No. I think this should be get more matured how users can use it, and then we can think about
officially publish it. Okay.
Would be great to have play.helm.sh, for example.
Something like that, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I have a chart on my laptop, and I want to play around like this. How do I put the chart on the website?
There's no import currently. My workmate already asked me, okay, can I import something? And I said, no, currently you can just export. You're getting a zip, but there's no import. I have a branch and I'm working on that because I think this is the feature we really need, because then you can start working on your charts and not starting with the template every time.
I guess for the moment you would copy paste, or you create file like Dr. Butcher is doing now. You would create a file and add them if I wanted to use it. I realize this is preliminary, but I actually wanted to try it out and it seems really nice.
Yeah, yeah, I think this is the next step to add the import.
That's good feedback. Yeah.
Also, I thought about would be great that you can point to a repository and it will import. But then you can, yeah, you just need to read the files, put it inside, and yeah, you can render it.
And then publish back to the repository. How about that?
Yeah, but for that we need a backend. My idea was to have everything in the browser
JavaScript.
that
Okay.
that the user can trust. Okay, I do not record data. It's everything is on your machine, running. Nothing gets transferred to a backend server.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. I don't know. At the community page, there is something called the Helm improvement. What is it? Protocol?
Proposals?
So the question, proposals, yeah. Does it make sense to write like a proposal for the playground, or do you think it's what could be the next step to bring this to the community?
So this would be a great tool to be able to integrate on the docs.helm.sh site. In the past, when we've moved an external tool internally, have we done HIPs in order to describe moving them over? I'm not even sure we have, I think, but we do have to have a maintainer vote for that kind of thing. So if the proposal would be to move this under the Helm GitHub org, then that would require a vote of the organizational maintainers. And then once because this is not a change to anything that exists, we wouldn't necessarily need a Helm improvement proposal to add it to documentation, though it wouldn't hurt to have one that just says, here's what this is for, here's the scope of the work, and here's what we envision it being able to do long term, so that we have something to point to. However, we've never made that a requirement up to this point. So that's a long-winded answer, but
okay, yeah. Yeah, I think when there's a proposal or already a way, it makes sense to go that way. And okay, good. I will try to find time to write one. Yeah. And yeah, cool. Feel free to push it to share it with your coworkers or other Helm developers. And yeah, please create issues that I can collect like feature requests and see what is the most needed feature that I can spend time on implementing that. I think the imports will be the first one, because it will open the door to use your own stuff. But yeah, what else? Whatever you have in mind, please let me know.
How does the export work right now? Does it just export a TGZ file?
It's a zip file, yeah.
Okay.
And then everything inside, like the char, YAML values, Helm ignore, and the templates directory. Currently, you can only create files in the templates directory, because I thought if someone, and you can also right-click delete. You cannot delete the charts or the values, because then the whole like render functionality get broken. So this is not touchable. You can edit but not delete.
Let's say you want to add a schema. Can you add a schema then at the top level?
Oh no,
at the same level template, you cannot. Okay.
No.
Yeah, things like schemas, dependencies, that kind of stuff would all be really, really cool to add. I didn't even check, but I assume that there's not like a function reference or anything like that for template functions. That's always something that's nice to have as well. I think we have I think the VS Code Helm or Kubernetes extension has a file that lists all the different functions and their parameter counts and stuff like that. So it might even be the case that you can include some of that stuff from other tooling. I can't remember if it's JavaScript in that one or if it's some special kind of markup language or something like TextMate used to use.
Okay.
But this
I
is
haven't
so
used that.
cool. I love this.
Yeah, I haven't used that.
Integration with IDE sounds pretty cool, by the way, because then you'll be able to, from the IDE, also deploy to a cluster
Okay.
and test it, you know? And so as a developer, you'll be like playing and testing at the same time, not only seeing the rendering, but also running it, you know, and running Helm tests, for example. You know?
Yeah,
Actually,
that sounds like looking deeper into VS Code extension or something.
Yeah,
My goal was to open the door by going to the browser and
Yeah,
have
make
like,
it simpler. Yeah, make it simple.
yes.
Yeah, I agree.
but I see a lot of potential. The playground, I'm thinking like Go Playground is great because I want to try out some syntax and I don't have it installed and it's just so easy. Using Helm on my computer is relatively simple. So just installing it and trying it. What I love about this is that I haven't looked into or found a way to have this quick rendering and immediately see the impact of changing the values. And so I would love that on that exact thing, but on my David said on the my
IDE.
editor
Yeah.
on the IDE, yeah, a VS Code extension or something. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people would use that. A lot of Helm people, I think. Is there a reason why? I guess you were going for the playground thing, but to
Yeah.
run it in the browser in itself is not necessary, right?
Yeah, right. My idea was more to play with different like if else, different like versions that you can go to a page, try something out, and see directly the result.
Oh, okay.
And I think it makes sense to build on top or reuse the stuff I already created, because I think VS Code is also JavaScript. So maybe it can load the no, it doesn't need the WebAssembly. It can also use your local local installation. Yeah, but I think it's kind of a different project. Yeah, to look into how to create an extension for VS Code. But I think would be great. Yeah, right.
So you compiled the Go binaries into, or you wrote everything in Go and then compiled that to WebAssembly?
Yes.
That would be, so there is a Kubernetes extension for VS Code that has full Helm support, except it does not have more than cursory syntax support for the Helm template language, because that was written in Go templates and there's no JavaScript equivalent of it. So that is a very interesting case in which I had not thought of this. WebAssembly might be really compelling way to package up the template rendering part. But that, of course, you wouldn't have to do that as part of this project or anything. You basically opened a doorway for other people to explore. Yeah. But yeah, Ivan Tolson is the one who maintains the Helm, the Kubernetes VS Code extension, and I'll point this out to him because I think he also loves WebAssembly, so he'll look at this.
Okay. Yeah, my question is when a new Helm release come out, is it like the underlying render function also gets an update? Is it at the same release package or is it another?
No, it's part of the Helm core library. So it would only get updated on, hypothetically, it would only get updated on minor and major releases, not even on patch releases, with the exception that if we update the version of Go and Go changes the template engine, then of course we would sort of automatically get that. But that's kind of the cadence on that.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Paul, for bringing this to us. I think everybody's very impressed.
Yeah, thanks for the time. I will try to find more time working on that. It's like a side project for me, but I'm looking forward to donate it to the Helm community. So yeah.
Thank you. We'll look forward to getting some updates, and I'll personally try it out and open issues like you suggested to suggest things. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So cool.
Next item on the discussion was any updates on the discussion about making OCI a full feature? I don't know, Dr. Butcher, if you were there.
You're muted.
There we go. Yes. Yeah, I was there. I did successfully stop sharing my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Zoom is hard. Yes. So we had a sort of out of band meeting after last week's developer meeting to try and figure out what we wanted to do about moving OCI into a full feature instead of an experimental feature. We took the issue, I think it was 10393 was the issue, and went through and categorized the items on there as, you know, definitely had to be fixed, should be fixed, or definitely needed to be fixed, definitely needed more feature work, or was something we could push off. And then Josh Dolitsky is going to figure out sort of how to muster some engineering resources to do that. So if this is the kind of thing you're interested in participating in, there are plenty of small little things there. But overall, the meeting ended on a pretty positive note. It turns out a number of the things that we had flagged as high priority turned out to be fairly niche bugs that were a result of things that weren't documented correctly, or a missing error message or something like that. And all of that is those are great problems to have because they're fairly straightforward to fix.
But where did you document all that? I'm just looking in the issue now and thinking,
I am not sure. I'd have to ask Matt Freeman where we put our where the notes ended up. The primary outcome of the meeting, though, was we were originally going to try and remove the experimental flag in the next minor release. And the sort of consensus was, unless we got a lot of bugs and feature work done very quickly, we probably would not make it in time for the next release. And Matt Freeman came just after I said his name. So Matt, we're talking about the OCI meeting we did last week, and Bridget was asking if we have notes and where they are from that meeting, and I did the 1, 2, 3 not it thing. So
we don't have notes, but what we did was we updated the issue and updated the checklist at the top with the things that needed to be completed that came out of it. And so we didn't do a great job of taking notes. No surprise, given the parties involved.
Okay, so you edited the bacon gobbler from 16 days ago. Like that's current?
Not the bacon gobbler one. Hold on, let me find that.
Oh, the checklist in the
very first checklist.
Perfect.
Yep,
Thank you so much.
Very first top checklist is updated with the output of the 6 things that need to happen.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Any other points on that?
So Butcher was saying, just as you were joining, Farina, that those 6 things probably are not going to get done before the first week in January, because look at the calendar, but you anticipate that those things could go into a minor release. They're just, unless somebody gets them all done before the first week in January, they're not likely to ship in 3.8 specifically. Is that the accurate current status?
Yeah, I mean, some of these things are hard stops, right? Like we don't handle the version ranges, or we don't handle things like the build suffix and version ranges and things like that. There's just some problems in there that we need to deal with.
Okay, it sounds like it was good progress in the planning. Before we continue, Dr. Butcher is still up for moderating for next week.
I am.
Yes, we have Karina for notes, apparently. That's great. I didn't even know Karina was here. Anybody for triage?
She is not. She said that she would do notes, though. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Anybody for triage? We'll see. 5 minutes left. Bridget, you pointed out a PR 9318 about Helm pull fails.
Oh
from
yeah,
a redirect.
I saw that this happened to be something that had one review in from Matt Fisher, and just said somebody else needs to review this and maybe you could get in. And I'm like, Could it get in? I don't know. Maybe that's a reasonable one to say this is a bug fix, we should put it into 3.8. I don't know, but given that we already have one review on it, I thought maybe I would highlight it as something that could go into 3.8 perhaps.
I posted a link if one of the more senior maintainers wants to have a look. Anything else, Bridget, on that point?
I just wanted to highlight it as like, oh, look at that.
I think that's always good.
Happy to
mention it.
yield the floor.
They're low-hanging fruits, I assume. We have 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 4 minutes. If anybody wants to bring up something, this is your chance. Quick. Anyone? All right. If anybody, unless anybody opposes, we get to clear a little bit early. So thanks everyone for coming, and we'll see you hopefully next week. Have a good week, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paul.